Welcome to the Health Ranger Report with Mike Adams, the Health Ranger.
So a lot of people in the liberty movement are quite terrified of the rise of robots and the rise of AI because they're only seeing one side of the coin, the side of centralized control and Skynet and the robot takeover and killbots and everything. And that's all a very real risk. I don't dismiss that at all. But like with any technology, there's also a flip side to it. Like, for example, encryption technology can be used by the government to keep secrets, but it can also be used by private citizens like us to do all kinds of interesting things that achieve decentralization and freedom. For example, cryptography is the math behind privacy crypto, or even Bitcoin for that matter, but it's used more in privacy crypto. And you can use cryptography algorithms to protect zip files and to protect your own information from government surveillance. So it's just like the internet. The internet is technology that can be controlled through censorship and through centralization to try to force people to believe certain narratives, which is what happened during COVID. But you and I use the internet to achieve the opposite of that. We use the internet to achieve decentralization, sharing knowledge, often hidden knowledge or even forbidden knowledge. We use the same technology for a much more positive purpose. So technology itself is not inherently good or bad. It's how it's deployed, and it's the value system of the people who are deploying it. So when we talk about robots and AI, I want to remind you of how robots will actually lead to mass decentralization and will help a lot of people move out of the cities and get into homesteading and living off the grid. I know that sounds wild, but I recently interviewed Zach Voorhees, and in the interview, we were talking about this very topic, how robots can help people homestead. Why? Because homesteading is a very labor-intensive type of migration out of a city. You move to the country, and suddenly your physical workload goes up by a huge factor. A lot of things you have to do, maybe chop wood, maybe clean out the chicken house. That's what I have to do from time to time. Take care of animals, mow more grass, repair fence lines, all these kinds of things that you do out in the country, road repair, whatever, rainstorms, erosion, things like that. Things you don't worry about in a concrete city, but when you live out in the country, you need to do all these things. Well, it turns out they're mindless but labor-intensive tasks in many cases. And automated systems or robots are perfect for these kinds of things. So what you are about to see is something really interesting in history. So let me just back up. Before the Industrial Revolution, a much higher percentage of the population in the United States lived in the countryside versus the cities. But because of the Industrial Revolution, more and more people moved into the cities, and then city population density went up dramatically. And why is that the case? Well, because the factories were in the cities, largely. So the supply chains were in the cities, and importantly, the power supplies were in the cities. So you had to come to the city to work in the factory. And so there was a massive shift away from a more agrarian society into a machine-powered society. Well, I should say machine-augmented, still powered largely by coal in that case, in that era, largely powered by coal. But you had this mass migration into the cities. Well, what we're about to see now, because of the rise of robots, is a mass migration out of the cities. In fact, this began during the COVID years when everybody was sent home to work from home, and we saw the rise of remote working. And to this day, and this is part of the culture now in America, is to work remotely, or really to pretend to work remotely. I'm hardly working or working hard. I can't remember. It's one of those two. But especially government workers that are, quote, remotely working are really just, goofing off in the hot tub and posting, troll comments on Reddit and whatever, and then collecting big fat government pensions and paychecks for the most part. But they're getting fired by DOGE, which is awesome, because only something like 6% of federal workers were even showing up at the offices anymore. So where were they? Well, some of them just left the city. Some of them moved out to the countryside already. And so internet technologies like Zoom allowed people to move out of the cities and to do their, quote, work remotely. But that didn't make it any easier to live in the country in terms of all the physical work that we're talking about, or even growing your own food, which is very physically intensive, or taking care of chickens or goats or other animals from which you might get food like chicken eggs or goat milk or whatever. So now, rise of the robots, right? So we have all these companies around the world, like Tesla in the United States, and Unitree, I think is what it's called in China. So check this out. Here's some Unitree dancing robot videos and just sort of video footage of the Unitree company, and it's got its robot dog and its humanoid robots. These robots are capable of really astonishing, complex physical movements. This was unheard of even 2 years ago, but now these physical movements allow these robots to do things like gardening. I mean, combined with the proper software, of course. And the software is rapidly coming along through AI, large language models, or visual language models, you might call them, or even behavior models. Visual understanding of 3D space and encoding that into the neural network. These robots are going to be capable of doing all kinds of things that will help people with homesteading. Now, would I want a robot for homesteading? Yeah, absolutely, but only if it's not connected to the cloud. So I love the idea of having robots that can help around the farm, but I don't want them talking to the internet. So I want them to be offline, and I want them to run open source software so we can look at the code and we can guarantee that it's safe and it doesn't have secret backdoors in it. Now, will that software exist on day one? Probably not. It's going to take a while for the open source community to work on that. But pretty soon, I mean, it won't take long because this happens with everything, like literally everything, including Google phones. So, you know, we plug a company called AbovePhone.com that sells de-Googled Google phones. So they're mind wiped and they're replaced with a whole new Android operating system that has no trace of Google in it at all. Well, the same thing is going to happen with humanoid robots. So you might have a Unitree robot from China and you're going to mind wipe it and you're going to upload the new like off-grid, living firmware. And then you'll have a robot that has totally new software, but it's got all the physical hardware that comes from China or maybe comes from Tesla. If you buy a Tesla model made in America, again, you'll be able to mind wipe it and you'll be able to install some new software. And once you have that, based on where technology is going rapidly, you'll be able to teach that robot how to help you with a number of tasks related to homesteading. One of those tasks could be obviously security. Stand guard like the Terminator at night. Just keep a watch on everything, with your infrared cameras or whatever, your Terminator eyes. Just don't give it an AR-15. Just have it watch for things, and it can walk around the perimeter, keep an eye on things and watch out for garden hose leaks or wild animals that show up or whatever kinds of things happen in the country, And then you can tell it, hey, go collect the chicken eggs. Now, the first time you tell it to do that, you're going to have to show it where are the chicken eggs, and then how do you collect them? What do you do first? Oh, you grab a basket or a bucket, and then maybe you put some crumpled paper in the bottom of that bucket to cushion the eggs, right? So you have to show it all these steps, and then you go in there, and then you grab the eggs. And what do you do if there's a hen sitting on an egg? You reach under the hen. That's what you do, and you don't worry if it pecks your hand, as they sometimes will do. So you have to teach the robot to reach under the hen without hurting the hen, and then feel for the egg and get the egg. Just steal it. That's what we do. We steal their eggs. Poor hens. And then, you put it in the bucket. Now you've collected eggs. Okay, what's next? Hey, make an omelet. Make an omelet out of the eggs. Okay, so we go to the kitchen, right? And we have to show it the first time. Oh, we're going to chop up these things. Here's a cutting board. Here's a knife. Be careful with that knife. Don't wield it on other people. Don't go full Terminator. So now I know this violates one of my rules, which is never have a humanoid robot with opposable thumbs. But I am talking about an open source software wipe here. Okay. So in this case, the software is different. I wouldn't want a factory robot with opposable thumbs because it can grip knives and things like that. I'm talking about open source safe bot, like a de-Googled, like a de-Teslafied, de-Chinafied robot, whatever it is. It's now your homegrown robot. And you teach it how to make an omelet. All the steps. There's a lot of steps, turns out, to making an omelet. And once you teach it, it can do that. So now you have a robot that can collect eggs and make breakfast. Well, what else can it do? It can grow green peppers. It can grow tomatoes. So now you have to teach it. Where are all the garden tools? Etc. Where's the wheelbarrow? How do you use a shovel? And remember, these robots are pretty small, so they're going to have small shovels at first, which is okay. You just have to spend more time shoveling. Just little tiny shovel bites, at a time. It's like, wow, that robot, it isn't really very strong. Yeah, that's the way we like it. We want weak, little, tiny robots that can't beat us up or put us in an arm bar move. Like, we don't want a robot that does jujitsu on us, okay? You want a robot that you can defeat in hand-to-hand combat if it comes to that. You want a robot you can break his knees if you have to. So, in the meantime, robot's got a little tiny, like a child's shovel, and it's shoveling away, and it's moving compost, and it's planting tomatoes, and you don't care that it takes a long time because you already walked away and you're off doing something far more interesting. You let the robot handle the labor, and you don't care that it takes longer because it's not you doing it. But you'll go check on it, like, hey, are these rows the right distance apart? Where's the water for the tomatoes? You're going to have to water them. Oh, and by the way, need you to pull some weeds. You can teach a robot to pull weeds. And maybe one day it'll have laser eyes and it'll just like laser the weeds, I don't know if I want a robot with laser eyes. That sounds dangerous, but they already have like weed blasting lasers. John Deere announced that, but they're not robots. They're attachments that you drag behind your tractor. You roll over rows of plants, and it has cameras in it, and it looks for weeds, and it literally blasts the weeds with lasers as you're rolling over the rows. That already exists. But those lasers don't walk around in the shape of a Terminator, so... Yeah, I don't know if I want a laser-eyed Terminator Skynet robot walking around my house with steak knives, okay? But you get my point here. That if you have safe technology, if you can make it safe with open source systems and robots that aren't stronger than you, then what you can do is you can actually allow robots to help you homestead. You can go live in the country without having to do all the country living things that are normally required. And so that's one way that robots can actually greatly enhance your freedom. They can get you out of the city. They can help provide security to your property. They can help you with tasks. And, by the way, most of these robots will run some kind of a language model. So they'll be able to do all kinds of things that LLMs can do right now, like, hey, read me a story. Or let's have a conversation about whatever. Robots will serve as companions and counselors and dietary coaches. Like, hey, robot, did you call me fat? Did you say I look fat in this dress? You have those kind of conversations with your robot. You better not say. But robots will serve all kinds of interesting roles in people's lives. And the key is, in my view, to make sure that we, the humans, that the robots are doing what we ask them to do, that we remain in charge, that we have the ideas of what needs to be done, and then we tell the robot to go do it. You might have an idea, hey, I need to build a fence over there, or I need to repair that fence. Well, you have the idea. You can tell the robot, go repair the fence. And There's where you can find the hammer. There's where you can find the fence nails and the barbed wire, blah, blah, blah. Go do it. You don't have to repair every fence. If you've repaired 10 fences, you've repaired 1,000 fences. Like, you've done enough, you know? There's probably other things you can do that are more valuable with your time. Like playing mad scientist in your barn or something, you know? You don't need to repair fences all day, so the robot will do that for you. Or maybe there's a storm that has come along and you got branches all over your yard, you know? You don't need to pick up branches all the time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being physical. I mean, I love living on a ranch and burning wood for heat. I actually like the process of collecting wood and chopping wood. And to me, it's kind of meditative. And I enjoy being physical like that. And I chuck a lot of wood every winter, let me tell you. It's kind of it's a workout. It's one of the ways that my torso and shoulders and arms stay so strong is because I'm chucking wood pieces that are heavy, like too heavy, you know? 75-pound piece of wood, and it's part of a tree stump, you know? But robots can help you with these tasks like collecting branches or blowing leaves off your driveway or whatever it is you want to do. Or even, I guess at some point, shoveling snow a little bit at a time. It might take all day for that little tiny robot to shovel snow with a child's snow shovel. It's like, you've been out there for 6 hours. You've gone 10 feet. The robot will complain, but the snow is deep. Anyway, you get the point. But a small robot like that would be really great at climbing under your car to change your oil. Ever thought about that? Say, hey, here's a strap to undo the oil filter, and then here's a ratchet to undo the oil drain plug, and don't put your face under the oil drain plug because oil's going to come out there. You know, teach it how to change the oil. Or do other interesting tasks like, hey, how about vacuuming the car? Yeah, you need to vacuum the car. And here, robot, you suck. Now direct it at the car. And try not to suck up all the quarters and pocket change that are all over the floor. Or in my case, like silver coins that I've lost track of. I found on the floor of my car. Because, long story on the silver coins, but I did find a bunch of silver coins. It's like, oh, there's where they are. Anyway, you get the idea. So living in a city has a lot of conveniences, but those conveniences are going to be made relatively obsolete, or I should say they'll be compensated by robots that will help you live in rural areas. And I think Elon Musk is right when he says that every family in America, or nearly every family, eventually will have at least a robot, maybe a couple of robots. Once you have one and you find out how useful it is, you're like, well, can we afford another one? You know, a robot can play ping pong with you at various skill levels. A robot can play chess with you also. You know, it can help you use your brain instead of sitting there watching daytime television. You know, morons like Joy Behar. Blah, blah, blah. You could sit down and play a game of chess with a robot. See, people say that robots will make your brain lazy and AI will make you stupid. No, not if you use them correctly. They'll make you smarter because they will force you to exercise your brain. You will have to do more. You can even ask your robot to teach you something. You can say, hey, robot, I want you to act like a college professor. I want you to teach me the entire curriculum of, let's say, atomic physics. Start from lesson 1, and I want it to be a 30-hour course. We'll do an hour a day for 30 days. Go. And it will do that. It will do that. It will have the knowledge to do that. It can help you solve problems, or it can teach you almost any subject that you want to learn about. Because the entirety of human knowledge, it turns out, isn't that much. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. It does take a few hundred terabytes, almost a petabyte of storage space, I've come to discover. But a petabyte, given where things are going, is not that much. I mean, pretty soon there'll be a petabyte of storage in a robot's head, or maybe, let's say, hundreds of terabytes. And it won't be a big deal, you know, because of Moore's law. Moore's law, right? The number of computational elements doubles every 18 months, or the computational density of a microchip doubles every 18 months. Moore's law tells you that we're going to have a petabyte of memory in a robot's head before too long. Just do the math. And if you can't do the math, just ask DeepSeek to do it for you because it can do the math. And for those of you ladies listening and you're wondering, like, what would I do with a robot? Well, you'll have it as the passenger in your car when you have to go somewhere and you're worried about security and you have to walk through a parking garage or something. Hey, robot, follow me. See, I have a security dog, as you know, a Belgian Malinois, a real physical, kick-ass, highly athletic dog that's trained. But that's expensive. Probably robots will be cheaper than my dog. And a robot can record everything if you want it to. You say, robot, go into surveillance mode and be on alert. The robot say, I am on alert. I'm in, T1000 mode. Don't give it any firearms or knives. Just ask it to look around, like, cover me. I'm walking through the parking garage. Or, walk with me. I'm going to the ATM. Make sure nobody messes with me. Make sure nobody pickpockets me, Or, I don't know, you're picking up dry cleaning or something, and you just tell the robot, go in and get my dry cleaning. Here's a ticket. And the robot will go in and handle that for you. You don't even have to go in. So, seriously, depending on what you want to do, there's a lot of ways that a robot can help you do that and help keep your physical body safer in an uncertain time when there might be a lot of increased crime out there. Who knows? Depends on, I guess, whether you're in a sanctuary city or not. If you're in a sanctuary city, you're going to need extra security. If you're not in a sanctuary city, you might have your Glock and your dog. Anyway, if you add a robot to that, now you've got an extra layer of defense. Seriously. Now, personally, I would prefer an American-made robot for lots of reasons. I want to support American companies, and I'm not entirely sure about the security risks of non-American robots. I don't know. I mean, I'm open to all kinds of ideas, especially when we have open source operating systems. But I'm really watching Tesla and their robots, and I'll probably be one of the early adopters, buy one of his robots and put it in my studio, and we'll test it in the studio. And I'll show it on camera. Like, hey, sweep the floor. Run a XLR microphone cable from here to there. See if you can do that. We'll just test it, see what it can do, and we'll show you what it can do. And it'll probably be funny because it'll fail at certain things. It'll stumble down the stairs and it'll face plant on the concrete. And we'll go, oh, we didn't teach it how to walk down those stairs. Okay. Well, good thing we have the warranty plan on this one because its face is all smashed. But whatever. And then we can do kickboxing with the robot. A robot can train with you, by the way. It can hold up the punching targets, and it can train you in Krav Maga or BJJ striking or even eventually maybe wrestling, whatever. It can train with you. It can be your fitness coach. It can do jumping jacks and follow me, 1, 2, 3. It'll be like Richard Simmons, jumping jacks, 1, 2, 3, push-ups, 1, 2, 3. It'll be like Richard Simmons, but just less gay. And we miss that guy, don't we? We miss Richard Simmons. We miss how he would bring a little bit of gay levity to every day. Back in the day when gay meant happy, he would bring some gayness to your day. Richard Simmons, yeah. Anyway, great guy. He was helping Americans get fit before it was cool. He just made it. I don't know. He made it approachable. He was whatever. We're gonna have the Richard Simmons Robo version, and if you want, you can put like a little Robo skirt on it, and you can gay up your robot if you want it to talk like Richard Simmons. You can tell it to, whatever. If that's what you need to start doing, push-ups and sit-ups, go for it. Whatever floats your boat, man. Just don't abuse your robot, okay? That's all I'm saying. Just don't cross the boundaries there. Just do the jumping jacks. I interviewed Michael Yon, and Michael Yon, you'll hear this interview in a few days. Michael Yon was telling me, and I think it's okay that I say this because we're not saying the guy's name. He didn't ask me not to say this, but in Japan, he met a guy who has married a doll, like an anime doll, some kind of famous Japanese cartoon character with the big eyes, kind of like the Japanese cartoon art. Anyway, he sent me a picture. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to violate the guy's privacy, But this dude, it's like a good-looking young Japanese guy. He looks handsome and friendly and everything, and he married a doll. Like he married an actual doll. I saw the photo, and the doll has blue hair that's like 6 feet long. Seriously, the hair, if the doll is standing, the hair is touching the floor. And it's blue hair. And it's wild. It looks just like a cartoon animation character. And then Michael told me, and he sent me the photo, that this guy has a smaller version of that doll that he can take into restaurants more easily, because apparently it's difficult to drag the full-size, life-size doll into a restaurant, even though you're explaining to the restaurant, this is my wife, I've married. He has a wedding book and everything. He's like legally married. I think it's legally, I don't know. He's married to this doll, okay? And then he's got a smaller version of the doll to take into places that won't let the big version in. And then I was joking with Michael. I said, does he also have a keychain size version of the doll for places that won't let him bring the smaller doll in? And it's like a doll within a doll within a doll. It's like Russian dolls now. You can stack them. Like he's married 3 in 1, and would that be called dolligamy? If you've married 3 dolls, is that a form of polygamy? Is it? If you've married 3 in 1 dolls? Anyway, my point is, and he's not the only dude that's married dolls, by the way. But my point is, if you think that's crazy, wait until people start getting robots that can move around and stuff, that they can dress up like they're dolls, but they can walk into the restaurant. So then he doesn't have to have a smaller version of his doll. He's just like, robot, come with me. And the robot like wearing a wig, it's going to look like the transgender man. It's like, it's ma'am, but it's a dude with a wig and a push-up bra with stuffing in it. You're going to have robots walking around that are like transhumanist, transgender, both. They're trans both. And dudes are going to marry them. I mean, this is weird. This is not where I intended to take this special report, but this is going to happen. You're going to see transgender robots wearing wigs, walking around, clinging onto the arms of some twisted dudes. This is going to happen. And when it does, man, I can't wait to see the video clips that end up online. That's going to be something. That is going to be something. It's like, is this your wife? Yes. Whoa. See the wig? It's like, oh my God. And part of this is because human social skills are vanishing. And part of the reason because of that has been because of mobile phones. So technology and social media has made people less social. And I'm fully aware of the detrimental effects of technology with human socialization. And the things that I'm describing here about the benefits of robotics for country living, this does not exempt technology from the problems that we're all aware of creating a lot of isolation among humans. And having humans be so infiltrated with technology that they can no longer interact with real human beings anymore. Like in Japan in particular, the young couples are not having sex. They're just not. They're not getting married. They're not having sex. They're not having babies. This is an emergency in Japan. This is a demographic emergency. The government of Japan, I think they offer incentives to have babies. Like they'll pay you to have a baby. That's how badly they need babies. But especially the young males, they're just intimidated by real women, or maybe they don't think real women meet their standards because their standards are artificial from watching anime cartoons or something. They think all women should look like that, which they don't. Nobody's got eyes that big or hair that long for the most part. So maybe there's unrealistic expectations, loss of socialization, who knows? But the rise of robots in many ways risks the end of humanity. So whatever we do in all of this, let me cap it with this thought. Don't forget to have babies. Don't forget to raise kids in the country. And when you do raise kids in the country, don't let the robots do everything that those kids need to learn how to do. It's okay for us as adults to have robots take over something that we've already done 1,000 times. Like how many times you have to pull weeds. I get it. You know, I don't need to do that 5,001 times. Let the robot do that. But for kids, you know, a kid needs to learn how to pull weeds. A kid needs to learn how to do everything. Like kids should not have robots at their command. Kids should have hands-on skills. They should know how to do as much as possible. Only as an adult should you be able to ask a robot for assistance. In my opinion, you got to let kids experience the real world, and that's a hands-on place. And today, too many kids don't have hands-on skills. They don't know how to do things in the real world. They don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to fix a garden hose. They don't know how to fix a leak, whatever, because they never played in nature with their hands. Like when I was a kid, I had a sandbox, a big sandbox. You know, it was made with railroad ties on the edge and then a bunch of sand in the middle. And, you know, me and my kid friends, and we would build like army forts, and we have little like plastic army men and whatever, you know, playing in the sandbox. And then you're digging out a bunker, and then you run into like a cat turd because the neighbor's cat came over and pooped in your sandbox because your neighbor's cat thinks it's a litter box that's just 10 feet wide, you know. Like, oh my God, cat poop. See, that's real world experience. It's invaluable. Kids need that. You need hands-on experience, even if sometimes it's a surprise. So there you go. There's my take on things. But whatever you do in this world, especially if you live out in the country, you're going to be looking at robots in the years ahead, how they can help you be more secure, be safer, get more done, and be more self-reliant to live more off-grid. Robots will help you get those things done, really, if you use them wisely. But never forget to socialize with real human beings. If there are any left, I suppose. We don't know how far the vaccine depopulation is going to go. Whatever humans are left might have robots, but parking might get a lot easier in the meantime because there won't be as many people around. All right. So be well, hold true to pro-human values, be cautious about technology, deploy it wisely and safely, and be mindful of others, and always exercise positive ethics and values in everything that you do. Be kind to other people. Thank you for listening. I'm Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger, Brighteon.com, naturalnews.com, and you can sign up to be alerted of our free AI model when it's available. It's at Brighteon.ai. It's called Enoch. It's been delayed a little bit, but it's still coming out and it's free. And it's not a robot. It's just software. Well, it's actually just a vector database. But it can do a lot of things for you, and you can find all that out at Brighteon.ai. Thanks for listening. Now at healthrangerstore.com, we have the matcha superfood formula to make an instant matcha tea loaded with superfoods. Check out the ingredients. I've got it on my screen here. Here it is, matcha superfood latte. And if you go down to the ingredients here, you'll see something pretty amazing. Not only is it made with this delicious coconut milk powder and the matcha powder, all laboratory tested, as you can see, all certified organic here, but we put in some chlorella and spirulina powder. And it's sweetened with monk fruit extract powder, but it's got functional mushrooms in here, reishi, shiitake, and so on, cordyceps. So this has this incredible combination, including lion's mane, that's my favorite. This incredible combination of microalgae superfood as well as matcha, which has all of its own amazing benefits, plus the functional mushrooms. This is available right now, healthrangerstore.com. And show my desk, I want to give our audience a look. We've also got our amazing instant mashed potatoes, the cheesy, creamy, buttery mashed potatoes in the number 10 cans. And then if you want to beat the tariffs that may be coming on Manuka honey from Australia and goji berries from the Tibet regions of China, the high elevation, clean regions, you need to get them now. We've got the goji berries, laboratory tested, of course. We've got the Manuka honey, which is certified with the high bioactives in the honey. There's a lot of counterfeit Manuka honey out there. This is the real deal, certified in several different ways and laboratory tested. You can find all that at healthrangerstore.com. And then I want to show you one other thing that's really useful this time of year. We've got this. A lot of people don't even know about it. It's called the Organic Daily Immune Complex Blend. 2 ounces, super potent blend. Let me show you some of the ingredients that you will find in this because it'll blow your mind. It's a spagyric maitake mushroom extract with shiitake and echinacea root extract together. And it's part ethanol and it's part water. So, it's that combination that does a better extraction from the functional mushrooms here. So functional mushrooms plus echinacea in a laboratory tested, certified organic format. Again, the Organic Daily Immune Complex blend, 2 fluid ounces, available now, healthrangerstore.com. We've got hundreds of products for your health, for your kitchen, for your home, for preparedness, and so much more. Check it all out at healthrangerstore.com and know that every purchase there helps support our platform and our work to give back to humanity for freedom, health, and happiness. And thank you for your support. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Take care.